الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها صدق الله العلي العظيم.
What does make them to the hadith?
Jazakallah, Ibrahim. Thank you very much for
Part
the
12.
beautiful recitation. Again, may I request you all to please set your mic on mute to avoid any disruption during the program. Okay, so now I would like to request Brother Sayyid Mustajab to please start your presentation for today. Over to you, Mustajab. Mustajab, you there?
I think I was on mute. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Not a
Yeah.
problem. Okay, you
Yeah.
can start again. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start again. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the 12th session on the 14 Masumeen series. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Peace and blessings on Holy Prophet and his progeny. Today, the session is on 12th Imam, Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salam, also known as Imam Hadi alayhi salam. He is my great-great-grandfather, and my progeny is through his line of chain. I am going to start, and it is an honor for me to read the history of all the Imams and understand, and hopefully you guys will learn few things. So the life of the Imam al-Hadi, and I'm going to use the word Imam al-Hadi because a lot of hadiths, when you will read in any books, when you will go and find them, they have the title Imam al-Hadi. His name was Imam Ali. He was born in the year 212, which is 1212 Hijri. He was the son of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. As explained in the last session, Imam Jawad became Imam at the young age of 7 or 8 years old. And because there was a lot of reluctancy and there were a lot of debates done, which we did cover some of them, for Imam Jawad to be accepted as an Imam and the divine proof, Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it went so extensive that when Imam Ali Naqi, which is Imam Hadi, became Imam at the young age of 8-year-old, 7-year-old, like his father, there wasn't any questions or pointers raised at him becoming an Imam, because it was all subdued during the time of his father. So as we will run, his son is Imam Askari, who is the 11th Imam, the father of the 12th Imam, Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. I'm going to give a summary for today's session because today is my last session, and the last 2 sessions would be done by Brother Abbas. Imam Hadi and all of the other Imams that we have studied so far and the other Imams that we will study is for us to understand the 12th Imam, the Lord of our time, Imam Zamana, as we know it, Imam Mehdi, as we know it. It is prohibited for us to call him by his real name. So that's why we refer to titles, Imam Zamana, Imam Mehdi, and others' name. Because there is not much literature available, and every Imam, and I've said it in a lot of sessions, every Imam will come. If they would have swapped the position in another time, they would have done exactly the same, because they are the divine argument. They are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is important for us to understand it was the need of the time what each of the Imam did. And if we want to understand the 12th Imam, we have to understand all of the other Imams and read about them. We read a lot about and hear a lot about Imam Ali, we hear about Imam Hussein, but unfortunately we do not cover the other Imams. It is important for us to understand the circumstances, the social political environment they were in, and how they did. Because there is great reasoning for us to spend our life in time. If there is operation happening, if there's something else is happening around the world, what do we do? What did the Imam did? What did he told his companions and followers at his time? It is essential for us to understand. For Allah has the conclusive argument as per the Quran. Or then if a person says, Allah will ask you, did you know? And if you said, yes, I knew. And if you did not follow, then you are in trouble. If you said, I did not know, then Allah will say, why don't you learn? Why didn't you learn it? I gave you the brain, I gave you the reason. So it is important for us to not have an excuse about not knowing our 12th Imam. So starting a brief history on the life of Imam Hadi. As mentioned, he was born in the year 212, Hijri, in a small place called Sariya, which is located in the outskirts of Medina. So it's a place, it's a town where he was born. His father is the 9th Imam, I've mentioned that. His Naqi and Hadi are some of the famous titles of the 10th Imam. Also, his mother name is Samana, who was a virtuous and pious woman who was married to Imam Jawad. So he is also known in some of the history books. When you're reading hadiths, you will also come across a name called Abul Hasan, because he was the father of Imam Hasan Askari. He was called Abul Hasan the third, Thalith, which means the third. So we're moving onward. He died at the age of 41 years in the city of Samra, Iraq. He was martyred through poison in 254. Now, proof of his imama, like all other imams, we will be presenting the proof of the imam. So Imam Jawad, who is the father of Imam Ali Naqi, he said, certainly the imam after me is my son, Ali. His command is my command. His word is my word. Obedience to him is obedience to me. And the imama after him will rest with his son Al-Hasan. If we take this hadith from his narration from Imam Jawad, it is the same for us for our living Imam right now, which is 12th Imam, that we have to show obedience to him. And that is what the divine authority Allah wants us to do. So going forward, the virtues of Imam Hadi. Now this is narrated in the book Al-Wahida, and this is from the person who's mentioning. He said, my brother Hussein bin Muhammad, he narrated this, that he had a friend who used to teach the child of Bagh, which was a place, or Wasif. He said to me, the governor on his, now what did he witness? It is one of the miracles and foretelling of Imam Hadi. When the governor on his return from which was Mutawakkil, if everyone can remain mute, it will help with the recording as well. Thank you. Let's quickly check. Okay, so when he was returning, the governor, when he was returning from the caliph's place, he said, which was Mutawakkil, was the caliph, he said that today the caliph, now they say commander of the faithful has imprisoned, they used to call all of the caliphs as commander of the faithful, which they were not. The title is solely related to Imam Ali as the commander of the faithful, given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said that he has imprisoned a person by the name of Ibn al-Rida, which means the son of al-Rida. Imam Rida was famous around those areas in Persia and others, and his son means his son's son, which was Imam Jawad's son, Imam Hadi. And he said he handed over him to a person called Ali bin Karkar. And he heard the Imam said, what did the Imam said? I am dearer to Allah than the she camel of Saleh. There was Prophet Saleh, and he said, I am dearer to Allah than the she camel of Saleh. So enjoy yourselves. Now Imam is saying something. So enjoy yourselves in your homes for 3 days. That is a promise, not untrue. So when this guy, he heard his brother Hussein tell him, he said, what he said, then he goes and Hussein goes and says, I don't know what this speech clearly means. He said, may Allah increase your honor. He has made a threat. What did the brother of Hussein said? He said, Imam Hadi has made a threat. Now you just wait and see what happens in 3 days. So as we watch movies and cartoons and comics and other books, and you say, oh, just wait and watch what happens after 3 days. And indeed, this is documented in a lot of books that the next day, Caliph Mutawakkil freed Imam Hadi. He apologized to him. On the 3rd day, now there were some Turks at the time, Yaghiz, Yaglon, and Tamish, and a group of people, they assaulted him and killed the Caliph Mutawakkil and instated his son Muntasir as the Caliph. Now Muntasir was not a bad person when he became the Caliph. He returned the Fadak, he did other things, we'll see that. So these were the Caliphs during the time of Imam Hadi. So Mutasim, who was the brother, who was the brother of Mamun, Watiq, then Mutawakkil. Mutawakkil had the longest period during the time of Imam Hadi. That's why we were discussing about him. His son Muntasir came Caliph. He became with the help of the Turks, and he died after 6 months. Some say he was poisoned and other things, but those detail. After him, his cousin Mustansin, he became Mustain, he became his cousin, Mustain, he became the Caliph, and after him, his brother, which was Mutaz, he became the Caliph. So what was the political and social conditions during the life of the Imam? What we have to understand that all the ruling dynasties, that was the Umayyad and the Abbasi, they had certain characteristics which sets them apart from each other, and during the period they were. So the thing that was happening at the time was the Abbasi felt that their government is weak and fragile. And instead of doing all the tight controls and over these things, they were feared by Alawis. Who are Alawis? Alawis are the children from the progeny of Imam Ali. They were called Alawis. So in history, when you read the word Alawi, Alawis are the people who are from the progeny of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Sorry, I've got a bad throat, trying. So their decline of power of the caliphate was one reason. What they were other thing they were busy was, they were like you see in movies and dramas and other bad people, they were just enjoying their life in palaces, drinking, parties, music, singing, all of these things. They were just all in the corruption. The most corruption was done at the time of Mutawakkil, and he spent huge amounts of money from the public treasury building castles. They are big castles that he made, and at that time he spends millions of dirhams building those castles. On the other hand, he spent a lot of money on minor things with his kids and others. On their occasions, they used to spend a lot of money, giving money to singers and other things. So before I move here. So at that time, because they were oppressing the Alawis, they used to revolt against the Abbasis, and they revolted many times. The reason for this was they knew that their Imam was somewhere in the fortress. At that time, they knew that the Imam was in Samar. They were carefully being watched. They knew that they and him, they were carefully being watched. You can write the question in the chat. And it could, if they do something, will result in his murder. So history has recorded, and this is something you can remember for question or something. There were 18 revolts in the year from the year 219 till the year 270 Hijri, and they were all against the Abbasi government. But all of them ended up losing. So what was the reason behind the defeats of all of these revolts? They were the family of Imam Ali's, people from there. The reason was they had weak leadership. So the Imam was not in any of these revolts. They had weakness in the supporters of these movements because the supporters were not fully across it, and hence could be the reason that Imam was not supporting it, or because of the Imam, the supporters were not. So the other most important thing was all of these leaders lacked correct and complete program of action. So even if they go and attack and win the government, what will they do after it? They had no plan. So these were the reason behind these defeats, and it was caused by all of these. What were the secret activities of the Imam? Like I said, Mutawakkil kept Imam Hadi in very, very secure place under the watchful eye. Virtually all of his actions were being watched. So Mutawakkil, he ruled for the longest period of time. That's why I'm mentioning his name. During the Imamat of Imam Hadi, his policies towards the Imam and his followers. What was his policies towards the Imam and his followers? When we look at Mutawakkil's rule, we find that he treated the Hashmis with a high degree of harshness and oppression. He was very oppressive, very bad in simple terms towards Hashmis. Hashmis are people from Bani Hashim, from the progeny of Abu Talib or Abdul Muttalib. He was very, and we go back up, there was a person called Hashim. That's why I started Bani Hashim. So the reason was because he knew he was not the rightful caliph. He was very suspicious that, oh, they will come against, they will revolt against me, and then they will just take over. So what he would do, he would go at great lengths to destroy the image of the Imam in front of the people. That's what he thought he could do, and he tried. His vizier, whose name was, I remember, Ubaidullah ibn Yahya, he used to always speak ill of Hashmis in front of Mutawakkil. So when you're angry and scared about some people, and he used to always speak bad about them to incite the caliph, so that he goes and kills them. So it was due to these conditions that what did Imam Hadi decided? That he decided to conceal whatever activities he was engaged in. He said that was the reason he kept everything secret. Whenever he would interact with his followers, he was careful to uphold the highest degree of secrecy and discretion. So whenever Imam knows if that is a follower, if that is not a follower. For us to understand that he, even with his followers, that he knew he had secrecy and discretion for the safety of them. Evidence of this is found in an incident that historians have narrated. So what is that incident? Muhammad ibn Sharaf has narrated that he was walking with Imam Hadi in the city of Medina. The Imam said, "Are you not son of Sharaf?" And he answered in affirmative. Affirmative meaning, yes, he said, "Yep, yes." Passing through. So as he said, at that point, what he thought, he said, "I want to ask a question with the Imam." As soon as he said or thought about it, Imam said, "Right now we are passing through this busy road. This area is not suitable for asking questions. This shows the severity of the conditions." Why did the Imam say? Because even Mutawakkil had spies everywhere and he had rewards. So anyone who hears something about it, they're doing it, come and tell them. And they would obviously exaggerate, and then the person would be prosecuted, killed. So his companion, Muhammad ibn Sharaf, could have been killed and other things. So he was protecting them. So Imam Hadi had no choice except to show discretion. And this is why he was very careful. This was true whether they lived in far off regions. So either he was in Medina or in far off regions such as Samara or any place else. Whether they live close by with the relatives and others. So Imam used to get money, gifts, charitable homes and other things. And even for those, he used to show secrecy and caution. As we learned during the time of 8th Imam and 7th Imam, that for 7th Imam, the Caliph thought that he's getting it and even had a separate treasury. So because of this, Imam Hadi was very careful. Now, I can narrate another example is in the books of history, there's a person called Muhammad ibn Dawood Qummi and another one called Muhammad Talai. And they have narrated that one time they were transporting money and some other valuable gifts and things from the city of Kuf, which is in Iran right now, and nearby places. So they collected the homes, deductions, charity, gift, jewels, everything for Imam Hadi. And they were on their way, and then suddenly a message reached to them. And they were informed that you should return, for the situation is not suitable for the delivery of all these gifts and wealth. So what they did was they returned and they kept what was in their position until some time. They didn't use it, they kept it because it was something for the Imam. They kept it safe. So even if when we take sadaqah out, we should give it straight away. If we take khums out, we should give it straight away. If we keep it, we can't use it. If once we have taken something out, we can't use it. So he ordered that the wealth be loaded on. After that time, the Imam messaged them, said, "Hey, can you load this wealth onto some camels?" And the camels were sent by the Imam. And he said that these camels we sent without a driver. He said, don't send someone driving these camels, just load it onto the camels and let them. And those camels found their way to Imam, and the wealth ultimately reached the Imam. So this shows that how severe the conditions were while he was living in Medina and while he was in Samara, where the security control was much greater. So we understand why the Imam was keeping secrecy. The other thing that started during at that time, and we can read a lot about in history, which we can relate to what we find ourselves right now, is the Imam's representatives. So one method involved the selection of representatives. Now Imam is selecting representatives right now. And in past, we have said if someone is trained in another and they said it, you are not supposed to go to and ask the Imam the question. We ask the question to representatives and deputies. So these representatives and deputies throughout the Muslim world and their organization, and they were organized into a tightly knit network. So one goal of the network was the collection of all of these gifts like home, zakat, charity gifts, etc. But the other one was the survival of the Shia movement. So what was there that what these representatives were important in doing was in relaying the question. So if someone had a question about, okay, what do we do now? They can get the answers back to them through these representatives. So either these representatives were taught by the Imam or they would reach the Imam and they will get it. And this way, not only the answer was given, but everyone was strengthened. So when you ask a question, if I ask a question right now to someone and someone answers it, there are 20, 30 people are there, they will also listen to the answer. And this is how tradition spread and learning improved. So Imam Hadi lived in a condition of severe restrictions in the city of Sabra. And in spite of this, he continued the selection. He continued. He did not just select it once and continued. No, he changed. And this was a policy that his father did of selecting the representative, and Imam took it a further ahead. So the absence of direct contact between the Imam and his followers. At that time, the followers, because he was under close surveillance in the city of Samra, he was under house arrest. He was communicating through to his followers through these representatives. And we have to understand when we ask these questions or read about the history, how it happens. So these deputies of the Imam gradually gained valuable experience in organizing the affairs of the Shia. They started getting trained in organizing the affairs of the Shia, how to collect homes, what to answer, what to do. So over the period of time, they get trained. So numerous pieces of historical evidence shows that the deputies had defined Shias as belonging to one of 4 districts. Now they were distributed in districts. and that was based on obviously where they lived. Right now we have districts or suburbs, as we call it. Oh, we are living in the council of Blacktown, or in the Hills Shire, or something else in Auburn, or Canterbury, or Cumberland. Similar case here. So those region included Baghdad, Madain, Iraq. Now at that time when we say Iraq, it was actually we were referring to Kufa. The second region contained Basra and Ahaz. The third region was Qum and Hamida towards the Persia. And the fourth one was Hijaz, Yemen, and Egypt. Each region was the responsibility of an independent deputy. So what did Imam did? This is all the organizational skills of the Imam. What did he did? He assigned a person. Now, why I am telling you and why you guys have to listen, we all can't be deputies. We all can't be leaders. If an Imam or if there is a system in place, we have to understand in essence why it is, and if it's serving the greater cause, we have to understand it, right? So Imam presented these independent deputies in turn, and they were supervised and selected. What they did was they supervised and selected local deputies. So one person, if he was made, for example, for the city of Qom and Hamida, he can't go everywhere. So he had local deputies. In Qum was further subdivided, and Hamadan was same as Kufa. So one time, just as an example, Imam wrote a letter to his local deputy in Baghdad. He said that Ali ibn Bilal, in it, he said, I have selected Abu Ali to replace Ali ibn Hussein ibn Abd Rabi. He said, I have entrusted, so the names are longer for us to understand, but he has entrusted this duty to him, for he possesses the necessary qualification. Imam did not select anyone for no reason. Okay, just looks nice, or he's my follower. No, he selected people based on the necessary qualification. If the qualification was collecting money and transferring it, that was the qualification. If the qualification of a person required to answer questions related to religion, that it is, he wouldn't have selected vice versa. So we have to understand. We can't say, oh, if Imam selected it and he couldn't answer anything. No, he could have been selected based on the qualification that was required for him. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone is to play the same role. So there are numerous other letters that we can see in history that Imam did this organization of his followers, and he changed it where it was required. So coming towards the end, the expulsion of the Imam to Samara. So Mutawakkil, following the policy of his forefathers, he decided to do something which would finally set his mind. Now, what did his forefather this? Mamun did. He called Imam Rada to his place, then he poisoned him. After him, he got his daughter married to Imam Jamaat. Al-Fadl was her name. They didn't have any child. So what did Mutawakkil said? He said, I'm going to do something else. I want to go and bring him closer. I'm just going to lock him up in this house. And virtually he was under constant surveillance. So this is the trick. And then he started forcing and torturing with constant looking at it of each event with his people spying and working on it. But even throughout there, they were followers of Imam there. So the doorkeeper was a follower. Allah has his ways, and Imam had support of some of his followers. Was told as he thought. Obviously, every bad ruler thinks that he can do it, but he is not a fool. Now, the conflict of Ghulat. The conflict of Ghulat, and why it is important for us to understand this is happening, maybe not in Australia, but other places. So there was what was the reason and what were Ghulat? So Ghulat were one of the deviant and misguided groups. What did they did? They called themselves to be Shia. So they consider that they are Shia. Now, but they twisted the ideology of the Shia and exaggerated their beliefs. What did they exaggerated? They said that sometimes they claim that the Imam, so they claimed Imam as God. So they said Imam is the God. And some said, oh, I made the prophet and I made the followers. What Imam Hadi did was he renounced these groups, and he very severely. But why did they started with this concept? We have to understand sometimes when we hear and read miracles, and this is how people get, this is the reason that they use. So the reason was the miracles and the knowledge of the unseen. Because all of the Imams had the miracles and the knowledge of unseen and extra special powers. So this group was, because they were unable to understand what it is, and instead of explaining absolute divinity, they started things in the wrong way. So they took these things as proof that this is what is it. So we can read more about it, but some of the people that started at that time, their name was Ali ibn Hassaka. He's also known as Kummi. The other one was Qasim Yaqtini. There was a person called Hassan ibn Muhammad ibn Babai Kummi, Muhammad ibn Nusair Fahri, and Faris ibn Hatim. And they have these beliefs. For an example, so the belief in Ali in Hasaka were as follows. What did he did? He said Imam Hadi is God, and he is the creator, and he manages the entire universe. That was his belief. And then he is the messenger. So basically, all of them started very similarly, and you don't need it, because Imam was so upset that they are using the name of Shias and spreading all of these. And Imam then wrote letters explaining, and he said, whoever sees them, kill this person with a stone, because they are deviant. This is not what, or naturally other Muslims started to think, what are they talking? They're saying, oh, this Imam is Shia, they have just become, they're doing shirk and all these things. This was not the concept of Shia, but there have always been people in the past that have brought about bad reputation based on their lack of understanding or their ill intentions or whatever they was. Their intention would have been to collect all of those gifts and monies and others. That's why they started it themselves. So we have to understand these reasons that there have been people in the past. So few sayings from Imam. Imam Hadi says, the one who is wary of Allah, Allah will make everyone wary of him. So if you are scared of Allah, and I've said it many times in other sessions as well, if we think for 1 second, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever you want to think, Allah is watching me, I'm not going to do this. If you are wary of him, then Allah will keep you protected from others. We have to remember, this is very important. I want you guys to try and see if you guys can achieve this special unlocking power. Can you repeat in your brain, Allah is watching me, Allah is watching me, and then whenever you're doing it, if you feel like doing it, and see if Allah is watching me, if I make my brain think that Allah is watching me, how would I do it? Because everything that the Imam taught us is for us to understand Tawheed. All of the Imams is to understand Tawheed, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, and he is the sole creator. So we have to understand this. Moving on, the Imam said, when Allah allowed Prophet Moses, which is Moses, son of Imran, some people call it Imran or Amran, to converse with him, Prophet Musa, he said, my God, what is the reward of one who maintains a relationship with his kin, which is his family? He replied that I will delay the appointed time of his death and ease the pangs and agonies, which means if you have trouble or something, and whatever your time of death is, if you're kind to your relatives, he will extend your life. Wow. Look, Allah is so nice. All we have to do is be nice to our family. Imam Hadi alayhi salam was one asked by Ibrahim bin Akba about visiting the graves of Imam Hussein, Imam Musa Kazim, Imam Jawad, to which he replied that visiting Imam Hussein takes precedence, and this visiting of the two Imams has the greatest and most complete reward. So obviously we know that visiting Imam Hussein has precedence, but we have to visit the others to get the complete reward. We can't just go to Iraq and just visit Imam Hussein and not go to Kadman. We have to go to other Imam's places so that the reward is complete. people, now what did Imam Hadi say? Transact through wealth in this world and through deeds in hereafter. So what does transact mean? Transact means when you're going and buying, it's a transaction. You give money and you buy a PS5, or I don't know if you guys playing Ratchet and Clank or some game on PS5 or something on Xbox, uh, or Mortal Kombat 1 or anything, whatever you guys like. If you want to buy the game CD or the game console, you go and give the money and you buy the game, or the CD or the hard disk or the whatever it is called, the card. But if we want to transact in the hereafter, we will be able to get things, but only the currency that we would have there, the currency is our deeds. So whoever has done more good deeds, the more power-ups you have done in this world, power-ups, keep yourself in Wadu all the time. After namaz, sleep in Wadu. Recite Surah Tawheed 3 times before going to bed, or any time during the day. Do it 3 times, you've completed the whole Quran. But when you're doing it, think that I'm reciting it because the Prophet has, this is narrated through Prophet, so I am going to get the reward of reading a whole Quran. You should know, then do it with that intention. So your currency, this virtual money, that is you have to gather a lot of virtual money. So if you want to go on buying and no one has to stop you and do anything, you should have virtual currencies. And the only way to get virtual currency is read a Quran every day, do all your namaz on time, keep yourself in Wadu, give charity, help people, be nice to them. All of these things are your virtual currency. Listen to your mom and dad, don't make them repeat. All of these things that you will do, these are your virtual points, just like in your game. So this whole thing is like a game. So collect it so that you would have more to spend. Okay, the other thing that is important for us is greed is an evil characteristic. Why greed is an evil characteristic? So the more we want of something, then we start doing bad things. Oh, I want more, then you will do bad things. So if we are greedy for money, we will try and do earning money through haram means. So anything, the greed of anything is bad. So the last, do not seek sincere enmity from a man you have insincere sentiment for. What does this mean? So it means if you're seeking friendly relationships from a person and you have insincere sentiments on, so you think you're not thinking good about someone, but you want him to think good for you. This will not happen. Imam has already said it. Or nor it will happen for honest advice. So if you're not going to give an honest advice, then consider if you ask that person for an honest advice, he will not give you honest advice. Because why? Because those are the feelings of the heart that you have similar to your feelings towards him. Okay, so these are, so hopefully you guys have learned something from these hadiths. I will quickly go and cover some miracles and that would be the end. So the breeze in the service of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. So this is one of the miracles of Imam Hadi, Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salam as we call it. So he arrived in Mutawakkil's court. And as you can see there in castles, they were gatekeepers. They used to open the curtains to move sides so that Imam could enter, or that was only when the Caliph was entering. So one day there was a psychopath person and he said to Mutawakkil, and he said, your gatekeepers, they just move the curtains when Imam Ali Naqi is coming, which strengthens the doubt that he is the rightful Imam. They are giving him too much respect, so you order them not to do all of these things. So Mutawakkil, he liked this idea. He said, yes, no one, they should not open the curtains for anyone except me, or whoever from his family. So he liked this idea. He told it. The next time when Imam Ali Naqi was visiting, the gatekeepers did not move to open the curtain. Just as he reached the gate, there was a breeze that came in and the curtains opened by themselves and Imam went in. And when he was coming out, another gust of wind came and they moved the curtain and he departed. So what did Mutawakkil do? His plan failed. He wanted to not open the curtains, but now every time he's coming in and going out, the wind is opening the curtains for him. So he said, what did he say? He said, in the future, he ordered his gatekeepers, you must lift the curtains. Otherwise, people will know that even the wind is in the service of the Imam. So see, the plans that you do bad against the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will backfire. The other one is blowing fruits from a pillar. So Ammara bin Zaid, he asked Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salam once, he said, can you bring out a pomegranate? So if I am thinking, I would probably ask something about space, or other questions I would probably have, but people had different questions. He said, can you bring a pomegranate from a pillar? So what did Imam said? He said, yes, not only pomegranate, I can take from the same pillar dates, grapes, bananas as well. And then he extended his hand at the pillar, and all those fruits started growing up on the pillar, and they started plucking them and started eating them until they were full. So that's one of the miracles that has been narrated at that time. The other one from the same person, Ammara bin Zaid, is then again he asked them, he said, can you soar up to the sky? So as we talk about Superman and others, he said, oh, at that time he was thinking same similar thing. He said, can you just go up into the sky and bring something that is not available on earth? So sometimes these people wanted to be amazed at the miracles. Sometimes they wanted to have some sort of confidence in their heart that they believe is strong. So it could be either reason, we don't know what is in their heart. So he asked the Imam to go and bring something. So what did Imam do? So Imam went up into the sky and they were watching them, and he disappeared from the sight. And when he returned, he was holding a golden bird. So the golden bird had gold earrings, and he was holding a pearl in its beak. And what was the bird saying? It was not just a golden statue. It was saying there is no God except Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. The Imam said, this is the bird from paradise. And then he released it and it returned back. So look, coming back to the end of Imam Hadi's life, in 245, Imam Hadi teaches the very important Ziyarat al-Jamia al-Kabira, which we can read. You guys should read. I already told you the prophecy of Mutawakkil is murdered. His son then returned Fadak. He changed the governor of Medina. He ordered the new governor to be nice to the people. And Imam, in 254, Imam Ali Naqi was poisoned and he passes away. And the sad thing is he passed away, and the burial of him is at his own home in Samra. So if we visit Samra in Iraq, we will see that Imam Hadi is buried there, and so is his son Imam Hadi. And that is the place where the 12th Imam was born. It is the same house, and there is a downstairs to visit it. So in 1427, we saw the terrorists, which was the bad people, IS, whatever they were called. They bombed and destroyed the shrine in Samara. So this is what was coming to an end of the session of Imam Hadi. May Allah accept this session and anyone who would have learned anything from it. I hope Allah accepted, and I hope all these sessions would have been good for you guys. Like I said, Brother Abbas will be doing the next session. I'm traveling overseas, so I won't be available. That's it. Thank you. So I'm going to pop the quiz for you guys. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pop the quiz.